Hello and welcome, my precious friend. Pause for a moment, breathe deeply, and let your heart settle, because what is about to be spoken over you was not meant to be postponed or filed away for another season. This is not a word for someday. It is a word for today, for right now, for this exact hour of your journey. It is a love letter written from eternity, sealed with the fingerprints of heaven, and delivered into your hands so you would know without a shadow of doubt that your life, your story, and your struggle matter more than you've realized. Heaven has been attentive to you. Not one tear has slipped unnoticed. Not one act of kindness has been forgotten. Not one sacrifice has been lost in the noise of life. Every good seed you sowed in the soil of obscurity has been accounted for. Think about the magnitude of that truth for a moment. What you thought was unseen has been carefully recorded by God Himself. Every single time you swallowed your pride and chose patience when frustration burned hot within you, the heavens leaned closer. Every single time you turned away from bitterness when revenge seemed like the easier road, angels took note. Each moment when you carried burdens silently, choosing not to complain, yet still found room to offer kindness to another, was written down in eternity's journal. People may not have noticed. People may not have thanked you. People may even have assumed that you were unshaken because you did not cry out loud. But heaven noticed, and heaven celebrates you in ways this world rarely understands. That is why you are still standing. The strength that has carried you until this moment is not your own. It is the faithfulness of a God who never slumbers and never forgets His children. The world often rewards appearances. It claps for the polished. It applauds strength when it looks impressive, when it's wrapped neatly with bow and ribbon. But God is different. God honors authenticity. He treasures the truth of your journey. He delights in the nights you wrestled with doubt, but still rose the next morning with hope flickering faintly in your chest. He smiles upon the days you didn't feel holy, but you remained honest. He cherishes the moments you held your tongue, not because you had nothing to say, but because peace was more important than proving a point. That, my friend, is true strength. That is the substance of endurance. That is the foundation beneath your feet today. And while the world may overlook such things, heaven builds upon them. Maybe you never heard words of affirmation when you needed them most. Maybe as a child your efforts went unnoticed, your victories uncelebrated. Maybe as an adult you resisted cycles of brokenness, but no one applauded your courage. Maybe when you gave your all, pouring every drop of your energy, you were met with silence. But silence on earth is not silence in heaven. Earth may fall quiet, but heaven never does. God has been keeping record. He has been counting every sacrifice, cherishing every hidden choice of obedience, treasuring every unseen act of faith. And today, He wants you to know, it mattered. It mattered then, and it matters now. The delays you endured were never denials. The pruning seasons were not punishments. They were preparations, holy and intentional. And preparation always leads to unveiling. And that unveiling is beginning now. For too long, people looked at your life and thought you were forgotten. They mistook hiddenness for abandonment. They assumed that absence of applause meant absence of purpose. But they were wrong. The author of your story has never stopped writing. The same God who whispered promises over you has been carefully aligning every detail. And the season you are stepping into is about to reveal that the so-called setbacks were actually setups for something greater than you imagined. The same circumstances that seemed like walls are about to unfold into doorways. The same paths that once felt blocked are going to clear before you, not because you forced them open, not because you strived in your own power, but because heaven has declared you ready. And here is the truth you must anchor in your soul. You are not stepping into this new chapter because you finally performed well enough. You are stepping into it because you remained faithful. You remained true. You did not abandon your integrity just to blend in with those who settled. You did not trade your peace for shallow belonging. You did not dim your light to maintain relationships that could not bear its brightness. Even when you doubted yourself, God never doubted you. He knew what He placed in you: eyes that see deeper than most, a heart that feels more than most, and a spirit that rises again when most would stay down. That is what you have been cultivating in silence. That is what has been maturing in the soil of obscurity. And now that quiet strength is about to echo louder than every trial you endured. It will not just be seen in the blessings that come your way. It will be felt in the very atmosphere you carry. People will not be able to explain it, but they will sense it. They will sense the weight of someone who has endured storms without becoming bitter. They will feel the purity of decisions that cost you everything but didn't corrupt you. They will encounter the clarity of a soul that no longer craves validation to prove its worth. And here's the beauty: you don't have to explain it. You don't have to list your scars to demand respect. You don't owe anyone the long version of how you made it here. God saw it all, and His recognition is enough. What's coming is not shallow recognition that fades when people get distracted. It's eternal recognition that echoes from heaven into earth. The recognition that says, "This one never quit. This one remained faithful when no one was watching. This one will be honored openly for what was chosen faithfully in secret." That's where you stand now, on the edge of a season that looks nothing like the one before it. A season where peace no longer needs to be fought for daily, but flows like a river. A season where doors no longer creak halfway open, but swing wide. A season where love no longer has to be begged for, but arrives freely, because heaven itself has already marked you as worthy of it. And yes, I know, it may feel strange. Ease may feel foreign after years of survival. Joy may feel unfamiliar after a lifetime of endurance. But that's the point. It's supposed to feel new because it is new, not because time simply passed, but because alignment has finally caught up with identity. You stopped playing small to make others comfortable. You chose to protect your soul, even if it meant walking alone for a season. And now heaven is answering that decision. This is no longer a season of hidden work. This is the season of unveiling. The season when what was cultivated in silence begins to shine on its own. There is a difference between someone who shines because they were placed in the spotlight and someone whose light could not be dimmed, even in the shadows. You, my dear friend, are the latter. That is why your presence will be undeniable in the days ahead. People will feel it. They will sense the endurance that refused to collapse. They will feel the purity of a life that chose integrity at a cost. They will sense the strength of someone who no longer needs external approval to validate inner worth. That kind of weight cannot be manufactured. It can only be forged. And you, whether you realized it or not, have been forged, not in comfort, not in applause, but in the furnace of waiting, in the valley of not yet, in the silence where surrender was your only option, People thought that if they ignored you long enough, the vision inside of you would die. But they misunderstood. Nothing planted by God can be suffocated by neglect. Nothing birthed in heaven can be aborted by human doubt. And now the very ones who dismissed you will have no choice but to witness what God has been building all along. Not because you need their approval, not because you crave revenge, but because God has chosen to make your life undeniable. The very places that rejected you will soon recognize why you were set apart. The voices that doubted your future will have to stand in awe of its reality. Those who said you were done will have to watch you rise. This is not pettiness. This is divine order. This is heaven proving a point, that when God invests in someone, the harvest cannot remain hidden forever. And your harvest, dear one, is due. For too long, you lived as though your life was on pause. But what you didn't see was that heaven was still writing, still aligning, still preparing. And now that preparation gives way to revelation. The recognition you are stepping into is not born of striving. It's not the fruit of exhausting yourself to be seen. It is the natural gravity of what you have become. Your integrity has weight. Your resilience has weight. Your obedience has weight. And weight is felt before it is explained. So don't be surprised when people begin to ask, what changed? Don't be surprised when old rooms treat you differently. Don't be surprised when strangers sense something holy upon your life and cannot quite put it into words. That is not coincidence. That is the fingerprint of God upon you. And hear this, the blessings arriving now are not random favors. They are responses, direct responses to the seeds you planted when you thought nothing was growing. Every act of faith, every refusal to compromise, every moment you carried truth in secret, those were seeds. And God is a God who never overlooks seed. This is not luck. This is not chance. This is justice. Justice for the nights you endured without answers. Justice for the sacrifices no one acknowledged. Justice for the pain you carried without letting it poison you. And when justice arrives, it does not tiptoe, it announces itself. But the shift is not only external, it is internal. You have changed. You are not who you were when you entered the valley. You are not who you were when you walked into the waiting. You are stronger now, wiser now, softer in compassion, yet fiercer in conviction. And everything around you has no choice but to adjust to who you have become. So let this be clear. You are not entering another season of mere survival. You are stepping into a season of flourishing, thriving, overflowing, becoming living evidence that God never forgets his own. And maybe part of you is still hesitant, still waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because for so long, good things carried hidden costs. But hear me, this is not counterfeit blessing. This is covenant blessing, the kind that sustains instead of drains. The kind that grows stronger under pressure instead of collapsing. The kind that endures because it was never built on shifting opinions, but on God's eternal remembrance of you. So, when recognition arrives, do not shrink back. Do not question if you deserve it. Do not return to old habits of unworthiness. Stand tall, because this is what you built in silence. This is what you carried when quitting was easier. This is what God himself is now putting on display. Let them wonder. Let them whisper. Let them try to explain it away. They cannot erase what heaven has established. This is the season where your hiddenness becomes your headline, not to prove people wrong, but to prove God right. And before we finish, let me remind you, Everything unfolding in your life now is heaven's confirmation that nothing done in faith is ever wasted. The Lord who saw you in obscurity is the same Lord who will exalt you in due time. As 1 Peter 5:10 declares, after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. That promise is alive in you today. So step boldly, step freely, step with the assurance that heaven has remembered every hidden act of faith. You are not just stepping into blessing, you are stepping into justice, into recognition, into covenant fulfillment. And this, my dear friend, is only the beginning.